Right. So basically, what I did was ask the young people to say to show you around and say basically what had jumped out to them, and to write a short response. If they haven't written a short response, they'll just tell you a little bit about why they've picked what they've picked. We have an ethos in our group that if our young people do something, we also do that exercise. So I'm going to start off, and my response was the first thing that jumped out at me today was this piece of quilt, and it was before we had any talks, because I just thought it was a direct correlation of what Manchester's relation with the slave trade was. And then later on in the morning, Shirley May showed me the Venus piece, which again struck some chords with me. So I'm going to quickly read you my response and then pass you over to my young people. Your texture is soft, mush, red, stitch my grit, sackcloth adorns serrated raw skin. You forgot names. Pain. Juxtapose your oblivious happiness with pain. Your texture is raw meat, and sea air whips salted wounds. Manacled Venus transported by angels of brutal bestial bondage bellowing. What journey do you see? What way was there out of this passage? Dehumanized, dank duress. I clothe your young.
Denise.
From this exhibition, I see an array of unexplained destruction, and the only reason I see destruction is because of what I've been taught about black slavery. I don't really seem to get anything from this exhibition, as I feel it's slightly unexplained, like we only get told what they want us to know. So that's what I got from the exhibition.
Are we going to go?
No, Chloe. Touch her, you have to.
Are we travelling to pieces though?
Yeah.
Come on then, show us please.
I don't even want to say what I thought.
We picked these pieces because it's basically a contrast, and it actually shows what's happening literally. This one shows a shipwreck in a storm on the east coast and the west coast of Africa, and the black people were helping the white people that were shipwrecked. But here on the east coast and the other coast, on the west coast, they were being treated badly, and that's where the slavery happened. So they treated the black people badly on this coast, but here the painter was showing that the Africans in Africa were actually good people and human.
Thank you. Next piece.
The piece that I chose was the Venus one over here. I actually chose the original of this piece because the remake of this piece I didn't really understand, and I felt like I could write something from the actual real one, and it shows like a black woman enslaved but also in authority, if you get what I mean. But it has two contrasts to it, so I thought I could write something really good on that piece. Bound by her feet and her neck show her manifested status, enslaved, not in authority but portrayed as an item, only to produce and multiply the extension of the plantations to increase the wealthiness of the forthcoming generation. So that like portrays.
The William, the William Hogarth, because I thought that at the time which this picture was meant to have taken place, I thought that the people that were like more higher class than the white people would be more shocked at seeing the black man groping the woman, and they're having like a whole family, because you have the mixed race kids there and how they're begging. I thought even them two would be begging for food more. And I thought also about how the black man's seen as a sexual predator, how he's just there, and there's completely no reactions from the people of seeing this. But I thought back in that time, he would at least been stoned for even being like a mutineer, more or less grabbing her. So,
I chose the Benny bronzes over here. I chose the bending bronzes here to talk about because when I was looking at the story it's trying to tell, and I read about the bending bronzes, it kind of was like an understatement. Talking about, to tell a story in the way of how it's been moved from its home place to a museum. I felt it kind of took away from the spiritual aspect of it and what they were made to symbolize. That's the reason why I wrote about it. It's fairly long, but I'm not going to do the full thing.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. You just don't get it. Again, you just don't get it. The attempt to chronicle significance has resulted in a blatant show of ignorance. It meant so much more than the symbolism of beauty prior to the African Holocaust. It represents the souls that have been stripped bare of pride, dehumanized, no longer the royalty they observe with their very own eyes. To tell this story in terms of relocation, with a narrative content hiding so many chapters, it begs the question, why was it watered down, cut down into a snippet, when the artifact in itself has deeper spiritual meaning hidden within it? It's almost like a filler piece, the easy way out. Pencil hits the A4, finished, the letters run out. Devoid of all empathy, detached from compassion, it's better that you let the bronze themselves speak.